Hey YouTubers, I just wanted to cover a subject that I've sort of been dancing around for a while. People have sort of asked me from time to time, Vention, why don't you have a girlfriend and why aren't you married and stuff like that. And I kind of hem and haw and I talk about a little bit about divorce, but it's just not really the main focus of my channel. The focus of my channel is preparedness in an urban environment, as long as I have to stay here anyway. My part of preparedness for an urban environment is to get out of the city, which is what I'm in the process of working on. But back to what I was talking about, the subject that I was sort of dancing around for quite some time, the marriage thing. Dun, dun, dun. A long time ago, maybe 10 years ago or more, maybe 15, I just realized, up until 15 years ago, the reason I was single was because I didn't have a great deal of luck. I'm not an alpha male, I never was. I'm more of the intellectual thinker type, sort of the geeky project guy, that sort of thing. Not the football player type. And that was what was required when I was young, right? But now, of course, the requirements have changed. But by the time the requirements changed, I had also changed. And time after time I saw so many horrible divorces that, it really made a guy think, I would basically see friends and family just completely messed up by the whole situation. Not just necessarily, come on, stay balanced. Not just necessarily the whole divorce thing, but sometimes even marriage looked bad. Like every one of my coworkers at work, as we get older, the ones that are happy tend to be single. The ones that are not happy and are like tired and unenthusiastic and slogging through life, talking about how they don't have any money and stuff, they're married. And man, a couple of guys at work actually say that they work overtime just to get away from their wives. And basically also I saw about 10 years ago, one of my best friends, he cheated on his wife. That was dumb. I agree. If it's over, it's over. But you don't cheat on your wife. But what happened to him afterwards was not justified. Basically, the wife lost her mind in anger, picked up their 2-year-old daughter as a human shield and held her as a human shield while she just beat the tar out of my friend and kicked him and everything until he fled the house. And then she called the police and filed an accusation that he had molested his daughter. And then the police came and got him and ripped him out of his life. And then, basically, she, after she cooled down, she recanted and told the police that no, it didn't happen. But they refused her statement, and just because by then the machine had its hooks into my friend, and all kinds of government money for various different programs was then pouring into the state and the police department, and then they were able to make money off of incarcerating my friend. Anyway, he didn't get out of jail for 3 months, and even though the wife recanted, but in that time he lost friggin' everything, lost his home, lost his job, lost everything he owned, and then basically. Man, if I went through what he went through, I might have taken my own life. But basically, he just got toasted by the system. And then, of course, once he got out, he had to sign all kinds of things saying that he can no longer see his daughter ever again, or at least until she's 18. And the only contact he has is the child support check he has to send. And he has to send it to the state, and then the state turns around and pays the ex-wife something, who knows. So, man, single guys, when they see that stuff, I mean, it just adds up and adds up and adds up, and eventually a guy has to go, wait a second here. Is this really worth it? Everybody knows about divorce and the 50%, everybody says it's 50% divorce rate. And then they see what happens to all their friends in divorce and family court and the whole divorce industry. And the moment, even if there's like a family squabble, all the woman has to do is pick up the phone and say, file some kind of false accusation, then the police come and take him and haul him off to jail, you know. And a guy has to start thinking, man, is it worth it? For example, on payday, right? I live comfortably on 30% of my income. Everything else is extra, right? Sometimes on payday, I sit down and I look at my pay stub and I go, wow! And tell the married guys, what are you doing with all your money? And then they all groan and say, oh, bills, right? And I said, oh, that's right, you're married. Well, at least you can get some action whenever you want. And then they all groan, oh, because that is far from the truth. Now, I won't go into that, but anyway. So then, okay, but basically, one thing is a lot of married guys get about as much action as a nobody like me. So, and then they're paying so much for mortgage, a car for her, and of course she almost always makes less than he does, and he is basically carrying the lion's share of the expenses. And man, and then of course if anything goes even a little bit wrong, boom, he's out. And the only contact he has is sending money every month. Oh man, another friend of mine, he was a good-looking, he's a good-looking guy, right? This is another story. He was driving a garbage truck after he fixed it. He was driving along, right? And then he's used to getting positive responses to women. This was after his divorce. But anyway, he smiled at these two girls in a convertible, right? Just expecting a smile back, right? And they scowled at him, and then he went, oh, that's right, I'm driving a garbage truck. But basically, a year or two earlier than that, basically he had busted his butt, saved a lot of money, and put a lot of money down on a house, and then moved in with his family, and everything was great. Then this guy started hanging around. His wife said, oh, he's some kind of stalker. I don't know what's wrong with him. A few months later, she just threw him out. Then moved the stalker guy in to live with his kids, filed for divorce, and took so much of his income and child support and everything, and he could hardly even afford a studio apartment. He ended up living with his brother in a rented room. Then their lawyer tried to go after him for more money because his housing expenses wasn't that high. But my goodness, and a guy who's single, he has to look at all that, right? And he has to just start adding it up, and then eventually he finds himself in the grocery store or something, and some attractive woman is obviously hanging around for him to say something. It happens. And then you just smile and walk away. Because you look at these women, right, and then the only thing you can see is the divorce. So, the other day, yesterday, I know I'm a frugal guy and everything, but once every couple weeks or week or so, I like on the weekend to go down to a nice place called Jimmy Mac's Roadhouse, and they throw peanut shells on the floor, and it's this, and play country music. It's cool in a strange way. You know, there's like TVs everywhere with sports. Well, anyway, I just sit down, pop open my cell phone, and watch videos or listen to an audiobook while I have my steak. And oh my goodness, that steak is good. It's a little steak about yay big called Katie's Favorite Filet. And man, even well done, it's tender. Dang, I'm getting hungry even now. But anyway, I sat down there minding my own business yesterday, watched some YouTube videos over my Bluetooth headset, and I could tell, I mean, there were a couple of women having dinner or something, but they were talking away, and they weren't even there for me, right? Then as I was leaving, they happened to leave before me, just ahead of me, and they were like slowing way down in the door, and they just, they wouldn't let me out. And then finally, I kind of like opened the door a little bit, you know, hoping they would get out of the way. And then one of them walked out and then tried to slam the door in my face. I think it was, I don't know, maybe I didn't give them the attention they wanted or something. But I think, you know, especially once they get to be 30-ish or 35-ish, women start getting a little bit less cocky and a little bit more concerned. Hey, why am I still single? But I think the reason why they're still single is because the word is really getting out. I mean, more and more guys are just saying, oh, I can't do that. I mean, they see their friends totally just absolutely destroyed, and then they go, oh man, I'm not going there. Well, just recently, about 6 or 7 months ago, I caught wind of some videos. They call themselves MGTOW, Men Going Their Own Way. Pretty stupid acronym, but sort of describes it. And I realize now that that's something I've been doing for probably 10 years now. I've had girlfriends here and there, but I just don't keep them. So the result is I'm single, and I mean, it's kind of sad sometimes because I know for a fact that I would have been a good husband. I mean, I got the negotiation skills. I got a lot of stuff to offer, you know, not just money. I mean, even though I got boatloads of money, I've got a lot of good things that would make a good husband, although I'm not the exciting biker type that young women want. But once they hit 35, things change. Well, okay. So basically, I just thought I'd cover why I'm still single and why I don't have any intention of marrying in this culture, in this situation. Because, I mean, if anything goes even a little bit wrong, man, you are paying and paying and paying. And, of course, you lose your home, your family, and you're just out on your own again, except you're also dirt poor. And I figured, I mean, I added it all up mentally. I mean, the divorce rate, the things that happen to you, and the whole thing. And it just came up with the equation of like -50 as far as like, is it good or is it bad? And it's just bad, you know. There are exceptions. Not all women are like this. I know that's what they say, and that's true. But in this society, if anything goes even a little bit wrong, the woman can wield the power of the state and just come down on you like a ton of bricks. And I suspect that actually helps destroy marriages, because both the woman and the man know that if any time the woman wants, she can throw you out, keep everything, a big chunk, almost all the real assets. If you've got like retirement savings, she can seize a good chunk of that. And then it's just, I mean, and then you're on your own trying to find an apartment on like maybe a third of your income, you know. Then, of course, you've got what you call the, what do they call that? Imputed income, right? It's where the judge, when he sets child support, he can say, well, he's earning so-and-so amount. Actually, it's usually a woman these days. But anyway, she says, well, this man, he is earning a certain amount of money, but if he really tried, he could earn more, right? And then they just artificially set the child support at an income that's a good deal higher than more than you ever made. And they can say, well, if you really tried, you could earn that much, so therefore we're going to charge you this much child support. There have been situations in Canada where, actually in the States, where men have just killed themselves because they didn't have enough money to survive. Man, another guy, what was his name? Anyway, he, somewhere in Wisconsin area, I think, he had a horrible situation with the family courts, and he was in and out of court, and then he got laid off, he couldn't make his child support, and he knew that if he went to, when he went to court on his court date, he would then be incarcerated, right? His life was friggin' over. He brought a 5-gallon can of gas and covered himself with the gas in front of the courthouse and lit himself on fire. I saw a picture of him. In flames, right? The only part of him that wasn't burning was his face, because I guess he didn't put any gas on his face, but and he was just standing there. It was friggin' sickening. Sitting there on fire. God. But, man, it makes me feel queasy just thinking about it. But that, of course, remember the monk who burned himself to death in Vietnam to protest the Vietnam War? Well, that was all over the news. The corporate media, not a single peep about this man who wanted to make a statement by how badly he was treated, and the corporate media just totally ignored the whole thing. It was in the news a little bit. Man burns himself in front of the courthouse, blah, and that's it. Nothing as to why he did it. The only people who know are people who are aware of this whole situation. But so basically, I weighed it, added it all up, and went, no, I just can't go there. It's just too dangerous. That's the thing about being a prepper, right? You weigh the pros and cons of various life decisions, right? And you add a little common sense to it, and you then make choices as far as like what makes sense, you know. So that's what I did, and I just had to say no, I can't do it. So, single guy, living happily, comfortably on 30% of his income without even trying, hardly. And I'm saving up for a house on a couple acres. I want fruit trees and a big garden, and I'm going to put in some permaculture. And I don't want to live alone, though. I've lived alone. I've had roommates before. Roommates are usually really, really awesome, especially if they're interested in what you're interested in, like gardening, organic gardening, and all that good stuff. That would be cool, you know. It's not even impossible that some of my roommates might be women, you know. There's something to be said about having a balanced energy in the house or whatever. But as far as dating and whatnot, I wouldn't go there. So that is what I'm aiming for. It's too bad that the whole marriage situation is in such a shambles. And this is the situation we're having to live in, though. So I am just going to have to say, no, I can't do it. So what I am, now, I just recently learned this about 6 months ago. I am a man going his own way, MGTOW. There's all kinds of people on YouTube talking about it. I wish this wasn't necessary. I wish things were differently, but somewhere out there right now, there's a woman, and she is the woman I would have married, and if things were just a little bit different. And she is marrying, I mean, she's like dating guys who aren't right for her, and she's like, maybe she married and got divorced because the guy that she ended up with just wasn't right for her. But I would have been right for her. And she's getting old, and probably by now she's pretty close to the end of her childbearing years. And she and I might have been happy if things were just a little different. But she's just going to have to find her way through life and figure out what's going on and what her life purpose is, and she's just going to have to figure it all out without me. Because society and the legal system and the divorce industry have made her too dangerous for me to be able to live safely with her. I mean, you can have like a large lion or tiger or something who's friendly as can be, just like a big cat, right? You can pet the lion and whatnot, but if that lion decides to kill you or destroy you, it can. And society, the way the laws are, have given women such incredible power. And power, what happens when people have all kinds of power? And they do. Women have all this power. Power is corrupt. I mean, power does two things. It attracts the corruptible, and it corrupts people who otherwise wouldn't be corrupted. Just so, well, there you are. That's the situation we're in. And that's why I am a man going his own way. So, I guess that's about it. Later.